person, I can't let no hoe lie to me. I don't feel these rappers, oh they lies is hypocrisy. Ain't no competition, ain't no rivalry. Nigga think I'm playing, I don't hear one word they saying. This shit light work. Think Muhammad one of us, he might lose his life first. Circle up and stay alert. Another cop just stretched the nigga. He a demon, this an exorcism. Watch I bless the nigga. You took that oath in blood, then you know I'm gon' get active with you. Fuck the opposition, I see vision. Let me paint the picture. Rappers claim they spit and I ain't listening. Is in fact the If revenge was a woman, now I stroke that bitch like Jack the Ripper. So war, we gon' run the summer. It's gon' be historical. Thought they making plays, made them niggas call the audible. Ask who run this shit, but that question is rhetorical. Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do that. Bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on this Glock and call it young baby. How you real triggering on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? When he said something, I ain't hear him. This shit light. It ain't about who got the gun, it's about who gon' up that pipe first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raised up the chains. Free shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that feeds you, you will never get that hand back. He bitchin' about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. I'm a certified woman's ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, out with that hollow sign, yeah, this the real McCoy. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still about my bread, still I think that's all that I enjoy. The way I get that boy lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I'm one West till they bury me. I be one West to the day.
All right, let's clap it up. Salam Israel. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. It's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class where we break down the scriptures from a linguistics perspective. I mean, we do what your Christian pastor can't do and never will be able to do because they just don't have the spirit of the Lord, man. We've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible since 1969. You know what I mean? Under commanding General Yohana. You know what I mean? We do this every Friday night, get into these scriptures, go into the Hebrew, the language that you're going to need to understand the spirit behind the Bible. Your Christian pastor can't understand the Bible because they reading it from the lens of your oppressors. You know what I mean? That's why even after you leave the Christian church, everybody like, how could you follow the Bible when it's they call it a white man's book, right? The reason why so many people think that the Bible is a white man's book is because they're reading it from the lens of white people. They're not reading it from the lens of the language that we're about to break down tonight. And that's so important. And once you understand the spirit that the Bible is written by black people for black people, you know what I mean? I'm using that term loosely because that's just a byword that's been put on this. But this book is written by blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Once you can understand that, then you can understand that this Bible has nothing, or this Bible isn't about your oppressor. You know what I mean? This Bible is not, you know what I mean? The prophets, none of the prophets were oppressors. Christ wasn't an oppressor, a white man, a Middle Eastern, or whatever they like, a Hamite, a so-called African, whatever, all of these different things that they like to put on a Bible. But the only way you're going to be able to understand that, a big part of understanding that is understanding this language, man. The whole purpose of this class is for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to get back our culture and identity. And a huge part of a culture is, and your identity is the language that you speak. All right. So, you know what I mean? We gonna do it like how we usually do it. You know what I mean? We're gonna get into these scriptures. Uh we're gonna start off breaking it down from where we left off last week in Sabbath service. You know what I mean? That's usually the purpose of Lashawan Qadash class, where tomorrow we're gonna get into the Sabbath service and read the scriptures in the Hebrew and break it down in the English so that we get a full 360 understanding of the Bible. You know what I mean? But in Lashawan Qadash, it's a lot here. But in the Lashawan Qadash class, we can kind of do it in reverse, which is beneficial as, you know what I mean, as a student when you're trying to learn the language, when you're trying to get a grasp on the language. So we're going to do it in reverse, whereas during Sabbath service, we'll read it in the Hebrew and then read it in English and break it down. During Lashawan Kodash, we'll read it in the English and then we'll break it down in Hebrew so that we can look at, we can kind of see what we are to expect once we read it in the Hebrew. And then we're going to break it down in the Hebrew and start to see how this language really works. All right. So last week we left off on Genesis chapter 27 and verse 47, or it's like it, verse 43. All right, so that's what we're gonna pick up. All right, so if you got Bible Hub on your phone, I would advise you to go to a Bible Hub so that you can follow along. If you got any questions, or if you want to answer any questions, go ahead.
So you are Genesis what now?
27 and 43.
What?
But what I would advise you to do is go to Bible Hub, follow along. So if you got any questions or you see anything that might, if you got any questions or if you want to answer any questions and participate during class, then you'll be right where we're breaking it down. As I'm talking, let me share my screen. So if you physically in class or if you watching online, I advise you to have Bible Hub in front of you anyway. But if you don't have access to it for whatever reason, uh, as you can see, I just shared my screen. So you should be able to see that. And as we breaking it down, I'm going to be highlighting the different components of the Lashawan Kodash. All right. Before we get into it, we're going to do a little review like we always do. Start off with the Lashawan Kodash alphabet, which is from Adatha. It's Abba, Gada, Hawaza, Khatayaka, La Manasai, Patazakwa, Ra, Sha, Tha. All right. Just like you had to learn your oppressor's alphabet, you know what I mean? I advise brothers and sisters to learn the Lashawan Kodash from Adatha. You know what I mean? And get it in your memory, just like you did the Lashawan or your oppressor's alphabet. You know what I mean? A couple other things I wanted to go over. 1 second. Make sure you got that cheat sheet. Make sure you got your your learning utensils. Make sure you got your, of course, a notebook, pen or pencil, so that you're taking notes. Remember, anything that's on the board is going to be important. For the last couple weeks, I've been doing Lashawan Kodash up on the podium, going through Bible Hub so that we can actually look at Bible Hub and walk through what we're actually going to see in Bible Hub, so that when you're studying, when you're trying to, you know what I mean, learn the Lashawan Kodash and develop your questions, you know what I mean, as we going through it, kind of you can kind of see how it's going to go. You know what I mean? Before we get to Sabbath service. But as I said last week, we're going to go back to the board and do a couple specific lessons like we did a couple months ago. You know, for the past couple months, we've been kind of honing in on particular lessons, the the prepositions, the possessives, different tenses, numbers, ordinal numbers, cardinal numbers, what else? Body parts, you know what I mean? Things like that. But like, Um, those are just going to be things that you're going to use to be able to help you go through the Lashawan Qadash. Because the whole point of the language is to be spoken, and so that we can read it. You know what I mean? So all those particular lessons that we went over is supposed to help you in the long run to be able to read the Lashawan Qadash easier. All right. So So again, we're gonna be up here. You know what I mean? We're gonna be up here going through the Bible Hub. Pretty soon we're gonna go back to the board. Just remember, anything that goes on a board is gonna be very important. You know what I mean? Uh, Tonight, just make sure you got your cheat sheet, which is what's on that bottom board down there. That's gonna be real important. Those are gonna be the 4 steps that you're gonna have to remember as we walking through this Lashawan Kodash. Remember, never forget what you already know, trying to learn something new. So when you see a new phrase or a new whatever you seeing, you know what I mean, reading through this Lashawan Kodash, whatever nuances or whatever you don't understand, just remember, don't forget what we already went over, trying to learn something new. So your first and the first thing you want to do is go back to that cheat sheet, which is always on that board. I try to keep it up there. You know what I mean? But I would advise you to just keep a close eye on that. And then as we go through it tonight, you're going to see, as we see for the past couple weeks, you're going to see that it's pretty much the same 4 steps. And once you get those 4 steps down, then it's going to become easy to you. And then once you see things that are new to you or that don't necessarily follow those 4 steps exactly, then you can ask those questions, and then that'll help you build your vocabulary, build your comfort in reading, writing, and speaking the Lashawan Kodash. All right, so let's go to Genesis chapter 27, starting at verse 23. We'll get there with you. All right, I'm gonna read it in the English. All right, you got a physical Bible on you, or you just got your phone? All right, you got might go into Genesis chapter 27, verse 43. We're just gonna read it in the English, kind of break down what's going down, and then we're gonna go back to the Bible Hub. Let me know you got it. I did mention before, you got any Lashawan Kodash related questions or comments, you go ahead, put them in the chat if you're watching online, or if you physically in class, you go ahead and just raise your hand. All right. Let me see. All right, you got it, Word.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 43.
Salaki, you want to move your cat? It should be right behind under that table in that box. Let me see. But again, while you're doing that, make sure you get your questions, your comments in. You know what I mean? This what we do tonight on Friday night Lashawan Kodash class is good. It's preparation for Saturday Sabbath service. All right. A lot of brothers, I know it can be I mean, it could be a different ball game getting up there reading the Lashawan Kodash, especially during Sabbath service. When you know what I mean, you could do certain things on Friday that you can't do on Saturday. You know what I mean, during the Sabbath service. Friday night, you can click on the concordance code like we've been practicing doing. You can, you know what I mean, do certain things like, you know what I mean, ask your questions, things like that. Break things down line by line, piece by piece as you go, right? And then get answers. But Saturday, once you actually in the game, you know what I mean? Once you actually in the game, then it's showtime. You know what I mean? So you ain't gonna be able to do that pause and asking questions, looking at concordance codes. You're gonna have to, you know what I mean, flow through the language, right? Be a professional. Right. So Friday night Lashawan Kodash class is for that. So that when you get up there and read for Sabbath service, you can be a professional. All right. So you go ahead and read that when you got it.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 43. Now, therefore, my son.
So like it read verse 42 just for context. We went over verse 42 last week, but just for context, go ahead and read that. Bible Salaki.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 42. And these words of Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent called Jacob, her younger son. And they said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, proposing to kill thee,
Purposing.
purposing to kill thee. Verse 43. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou Laban, my brother, to Haran,
Go ahead, read on.
and tarry with him a few days, until they, brother, truly turn away.
So what we read in Sabbath service was, Esau is a profane bastard. You know what I mean? We already know that. Esau is the progenitor of the so-called Caucasians. And he is a profane bastard. He's been a profane bastard since the beginning. And what happened was Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. You know what I mean? Esau sold his birthright. It meant nothing to him, right? Where he was the oldest, he was the firstborn. So naturally, the Salakia, what's it called? Yeah. The birthright, Salakia. You had a question?
So, like, what do you mean when you say? What do you mean when you say like sold his birthright?
I'll show you. Let's go to 1 second. Or you might go into Genesis chapter 25 and start at verse 28. All right. So this is what's happening right now. This is just to give a little bit of context. All right.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 28. And Isaiah loved Esau,
And Isaac.
and Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison. But Rebekah loved Jacob.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead,
Verse
read on.
29. And Jacob sided
Pottage.
pottage.
So what's going on right now, just to give a little context. So Esau he went out and hunted, right? He went out and got he went out and hunted food like we do like we like we've done in the past. He went and hunted animals to bring back for Jacob to cook, right? So that's what Esau did, and that's the context of what's going on right now. So this is what Esau was always doing. So right now Esau went to go get the livestock, the animals, and to kill them, to bring them back. And Jacob prepared it. He cooked it, right? He stayed at home, cooked the food and all of that, right? So verse 29 it said, and Jacob side pottage. Basically, this is Jacob, that just basically means Jacob was making a stew, right? And go ahead, read on.
Verse 30. And
No,
Esau,
read from 29 again. Slack
Genesis chapter 25, verse 29. And Jacob side pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he said he was faint.
And he was faint. So Esau, again, this is what he did on a regular basis, just like you do now. Like Esau, Edomites, so-called Caucasians, they like to go hunt, and you know what I mean, just that's just what they do. This is always what they've done, right? And he came from the field, and he was faint from hiding in the woods, pissing on himself. You know what I mean, climbing. You know what I mean, doing what he always. You know what I mean, doing what it takes to hunt animals, right? And he was faint, right? Go ahead, read on.
And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
So now Esau, because now he coming from the field, he faint, he hungry, he just can't wait, right? He asked Jacob, hey, feed me with this red pottage, right? Meaning it's not even finished yet. It's not finished. It's still red and bloody. But Esau, you know what I mean? He with as the profane bastard that he is, you know what I mean? He just gotta have it right now. So this what Jacob said, right? And mind you, you know what I mean? Well, go ahead, read that, and then I'm gonna break it down further.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
So this is what Esau did, right? Go ahead, read on.
And Esau said, behold, I am the point to die.
So Esau, like, I'm at the point to die. I'm about to die. That's what Esau dramatic. Edomites are dramatic. They always, you know what I mean. Karen don't get her way, and she gonna fall out all on the counter of Starbucks and act a goddamn fool, right? You know what I mean. Go ahead, read on.
And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
So this is how little Esau. Remember, Esau was the firstborn, right? They were twins, but Esau was the firstborn. The firstborn is the one that gets the birthright. But this is how little the birthright meant to Esau. Now, despite that, before Jacob and Esau were even born, go ahead.
Esau and Jacob were twins?
Yeah, Esau and Jacob were twins,
Okay.
right? Esau is the progenitor of so-called Caucasians. Jacob is the progenitor of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? But Rebecca and Isaac had received a prophecy from a man of the Lord that said that the elder will serve the younger. So Esau is the elder, Jacob is the younger. So by this time, before this even happened, they had already received the prophecy. Uh, let me get verse 33, and then we're gonna go to another scripture real quick.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
Right, so that's exactly that's what Esau did. You know what I mean? He didn't give a damn about the birthright. But Jacob knew what the birthright meant. He valued the birthright. Rebecca knew what the birthright meant. Go ahead.
Like maybe it could be correlated with like a pedestal in a way. Like when you talking about birthright specifically,
Birthright, so your birthright is
what was meant to be by birth, right?
so it's like an inheritance. You know what an inheritance is, right?
Right.
It's just what you like. If your you know what I mean, your father builds, and you know what I mean, he builds, like he has like a business or something like that. He builds a reputation, a fortune, or whatever the case is. When he passes that down to the firstborn, right? It's like something like a will, like what you would understand as a will today,
Okay.
right? But it's a lot here. One second, let me get back with you real quick. It's a lot here. But okay, so Esau sold his birthright. You know what I mean? Just for something that meant nothing, right? Like he could have waited just a couple more minutes for that pottage to get finished. You know what I mean? If he really valued that birthright, because we read last week, which is where we picking up. I mean, last week Esau sitting here crying to his father, like, do you have a birthright for me?
Right.
You know what I mean? He crying like he value it so much, like why, like he being done so wrong. Like Jacob tricked me and this, that, and the third. Like he feel like he being done so wrong. But in this moment, he sold his birthright as if it was nothing.
Right.
And he sold it to Jacob. So for him to even in which we're gonna bring out which we're gonna get into in a second, but for him to even be feeling this way right now, it's so damn slimy because it doesn't belong to him anymore. He sold it, and we're reading it right here in Genesis 25. You had another question, or you had a comment?
I was going to bounce off that real quick.
Go ahead.
So sold his birthright, turned right around, and still had the nerve to have entitlement, like the white man would do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
It's exactly what we're dealing with right now. Let me see. All right, let's go back to that chapter 27 and verse 43. All right, so that's the context of what we're dealing with right now. This man is crazy. But this is what we're dealing with right now. You know what I mean? We dealing with Jacob and Esau. Esau sold his birthright. You know what I mean? The Most High chose, and like it says in Romans, the Most High chose Jacob before they were even born, doing right or wrong. You know what I mean? He already made a choice, just like he chose Abraham, just like he chose Isaac, just like he chose Jacob, just like he chose all the men that he chose. The Most High makes a choice, right? So blood don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Which shows how little rather this Abadan Jah knows about the Bible.
Right.
But you know what I mean, you're more than welcome to come to class. You know what I mean? I think you in you said you was in whatever city you in. Remind me. You know what I mean? Abadan Jah. Remind me what zone you in. You know what I mean? But you more than welcome to join class and actually get the understanding. All right. But point is, Esau sold his birthright. It does not belong to him, right? So where was that? Genesis 27, starting at verse 43. All right. Go ahead, read that from the top again. Verse
Genesis chapter 27, verse 43. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise. Flee thou, Laban, my brother, to Haran.
So now, because Esau is throwing a hissy fit because he sold his birthright,
Right.
and now because he sold it, it doesn't belong to him anymore. Now he's throwing a hissy fit, and now because he in his feelings, he wanna take his brother's life, right? Because he can't get his way, just like Esau does today. You know what I mean? He wants to take Black, Hispanic, and Native American lives because he doesn't get his way, right? So that's what we're dealing with right now. So now Rebecca is warning Jacob and letting him know, like, look, your brother is trying to take your life. So you need to go and you know what I mean, stay with my brother for a little bit. Rebecca's brother. You had a question or comment?
So is these verses specifically that we just mentioned, is this what somebody would refer back to when they're trying to explain why we are the chosen people? Or would this not be the verse that you would throw out there to explain that to somebody when we're trying to explain why we're the 12 tribes is, the chosen people?
It's partly, and I say partly because again, the Most High made a choice before all of this even happened. Before Esau sold his birthright, before we get here where Jacob actually receives the birthright and the inheritance, the Most High already chose Jacob. So no matter how anybody feel about it, no matter how much you love Edomites or whatever the case is, the Most High already made a choice. So that's where I would go, and that's I kind of paraphrase it in Romans, right? But that's where I would go. But go ahead, read on. So he's saying, so Rebecca is like, all right, you know what I mean? Like we would say, the block is hot right now. You know what I mean? Things hot right now. Your brother ain't too happy. You know what I mean? Throwing a little hissy fit. Go ahead and kick it with my brother for a little bit till things cool down. And you know what I mean? Whoop-de-whoop, right? Go ahead, read on.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 44. And tarry with him a few days until they brothers fury turn away.
All right, that's what I just broke down. All right, verse 45, and then we're gonna get into the Hebrew.
Until they brothers anger turn away from thee, and he forgot that which thou hast done to him, then I will send and fetch thee from Tinch. Why would I be deprived also of you both in one day?
All right. So basically, that's the whole situation. You know what I mean? Esau in his feelings. Rebecca sending Jacob away. You know what I mean, for a little bit just to protect him, right? Because Rebecca already know. You know what I mean, from history. You know what I mean. Same thing with Cain and Abel. You know what I mean. Your one of your sons take the life of your other son. Then now you got one son that you lost, and then the other son is a murderer. So you basically, you know what I mean, that's death. You know what I mean, that's something. You know what I mean, you basically just lost two sons. So she like, all right, you know what I mean, till the smoke died down. this is what we about to do. We about to send us. She about to send her son over to Laban. All right. So let's pick it up in the Hebrew. All right. So before we do that, y'all can go ahead and go to Bible Hub. I'm gonna go through a couple of these sight words just real quick. Just skim through them. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just skim through it. In the meantime, just follow along, or you just go to Bible Hub, get it ready. But as we go through it, this is just things that you should expect to hear or expect to see or read as we going through the Lashawan Qadash. Just these sight words, and these sight words are gonna be real helpful, so that when you see these words in the Lashawan Qadash, you don't have to you don't have to stumble over it. Like it's gonna be a little bit of stumbling tonight as we're reading it. Uh, and it's gonna be a little bit of stumbling tomorrow as brothers are reading it in the in Sabbath service. But if you can, the more words that you can recognize, the more words that you can commit to memory, and that uh, you can recognize from what we use pretty frequently, um, then the easier it'll be for you to read the Lashawan Kodash.
Right.
All right, so verse 43. All right, and so now, therefore, my son is Ban. All right. You see brothers check in. You see brothers, or you see brothers. You might see in their name, or they state their pedigree during Sabbath service, and they'll say priest. They'll say such and such. They'll say their name, called Kazah, Ban Yahawada, son of Yahawada or Judah, naming your tribe. Uh, Ban Ban Yasharala, naming your nation. Right, son of Judah, son of Israel. Right. So that's what bond means. Bond means son. All right. So you should expect to see that tonight. My son. All right. So son is bond. So how would you say my? Right. 9 times out of 10, bond is going to have a preposition or possessive attached to it. So how would you say my son? So bond is son. How would you say my son? All right. And anybody in the chat and in the room, you know what I mean, you feel free to answer the question. Or just take a look at your notes. You know what I mean? This on that cheat sheet that we was talking about it in the beginning. All right. And this is something that we use often, all right? So a suffix or a possessive, I'll give you a hint, a possessive that we use often. You had your hand up, or did I?
So we're in Genesis 28,
27.
27 and
40, starting at 43.
oh,
All right, that's what we're going to be reading in the Hebrew. All right. But the question is, all right, so ban is the root word, right? So ban is the root word that means son. How would you say my son? All right. And I already told you it's a possessive, right? You got it?
yeah,
Con. So how would you put it together?
saying my son,
Con.
Yohan.
Remember where the possessive goes.
Oh,
Does it go before the root word or after?
right?
Right. So
Banya.
con. Yeah, that's just the hand. All right. So you're gonna see a banya. You're gonna see banya, my son, banya. You're gonna see that in these next couple verses we're gonna read. All right. Obey my voice and arise. So okay, my voice, whatever the word for voice is, you're gonna see that same suffix, ya. You're gonna see the word for voice and ya at the end of it. All right. So look out for that. We're gonna learn what voice is, or whatever word is used here and why it's used. And arise. Rise is quam or quawum, right? Depending on how it's used, right? Quawum is rise. Now, if it has a preposition or a possessive, or depending on how it's used, if it has any tenses or anything like that attached to it, that y in the middle might drop off and it'll just be quam. But the root word is quawum, right? or the common usage is Qawam, which means rise. Flee thou the Laban. Uh, Laban in Hebrew is Laban, right? La ba na, Laban, right? My brother, right? Now, okay, my son is Banya. How do we say brother in Hebrew? Right? Should be real easy. You wanna give it a shot? You look like you wanna give it a shot.
It's like because I mix up sister all the time. So Aquath is his sister, right? And then I can't remember the brother. Aquath.
So, go ahead. Go ahead. Take your time. You wanna give it a shot, brother, while the sister's thinking it over?
I'm actually trying to see. I don't see brother on there. Like, translate.
Okay. We call each other brother all the time. Go ahead. Khan. That's brother. Ak is brother. So if you hear a brother, a shalom, Ak, he's saying peace, brother. So whenever you hear somebody say brother or Ak, he's calling you brother. All right. So that's the word for brother. So how do you say my brother? Should be real easy. You wanna give it a shot, brother?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Now remember, just like with son, the possessive Yah is a possessive. That means what?
Come after the root word.
Right. So Ak is the root word, so you would put the possessive at the end. So instead of Ya'ak, it would be what?
Yeah.
Khan. Give yourself a hand. Right. So my brother Akya, you'll see that in here. All right. And tarry with him a few days. All right. Day is Yawam, or again, depending on whether it has a preposition, possessive tenses, or anything like that. That wa in the middle might drop off just for sentence flow, right? You know what I mean? So it might be yum, right? You might see yum. So for a few days. So day is singular. So how do you make day plural? Now remember, day is yum, right? Day is yum. How do you make it plural? It's right up there. I got you. 1 second. Huh? Oh yeah, 1 second. I got you in just a second. Let me see if anybody on the chat got anything besides this. Brother Abadan Ja, I just need the city you in. That's all I need from you. All right.
You can't actually go into Hebrew conversation.
Oh yeah, there's no
So
sweat.
that's my spot.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help him out. All right. Or let me rephrase the question. What's the most common way? What's the most common way to pluralize something? All right. You had an answer, sis?
So you were asking how would you make brother plural?
No. How would you make day plural? So
Day?
day is. You remember what I just said about what day is in Hebrew?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yom is how you say day in Hebrew, right?
Yawam.
Yawam, right?
You say yum.
Concert. But when you add a preposition or possessive or tenses, or like when you start to add certain things, that wa in the middle tends to drop off. So 9 times out of 10, you're gonna see yum instead of yawum, right? And that's the reason why. So since we're about to add a tense, I'm giving you a hint, right? We're about to add a tense. So you're gonna see that wa in the middle drop off, right? So instead of yawum, it'll be yum. So now, how do you turn yum, which is day, one day, into plural, more than one day? You got it? Go ahead.
You got a preposition in front of it, right?
What preposition?
It'll be the.
Why?
He said be made plural, and I'm the plural, and I'm looking at the.
Okay, well, how would tha be plural? And I'm just asking these questions so that you can just to help you kind of work through the process, right? Because this is the beginning part, right? This is the part that brothers and sisters is kind of scared of, or they kind of get discouraged with doing. You know what I mean? I got you in a second. But brothers and sisters kind of get discouraged with working through this process because it can only be a couple things. And now that's why I put that cheat sheet up there. Once you rule out certain things, then you just playing a game of elimination. Like, okay, well, it can't be this. Or if you think it's one thing, you would have to explain why. Like I'm doing up here tonight, right? But you got to answer, brother. Why you thought that? Sorry, take your time.
Nah, it'll be what? Because it's more than one. Plural mean more than one, so and means more than one.
Okay. Okay, I see why you said that. That's not correct, but I see why you said that. And you know what I mean, that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? Even if you get a wrong answer, you know what I mean, you want to be able to work through it and be able to at least if you give an answer or if you think it's if you have an answer, you want to be able to explain it, right? You wanted to give an answer? You seemed confident a second ago.
Right now I'm confused. So, sir, where I'm getting at with the board, what I'm taking from the board, the wath is feminine, right? Yam or YAM is masculine, but what would the THA be when I say that?
Okay, I see you're looking in the right direction, but you're thinking too hard.
Okay.
You're thinking too hard. All right. You're looking in the right place. You had an answer to
Yum yum.
sir. That's what it is.
I was thinking.
And that's why I said you was thinking too hard because you're looking right at like right above what you were reading. It said that's how you pluralize something.
Slightly, sir. So
Con.
the yam is masculine.
That's how you. That's just how you pluralize. Okay,
Okay,
that
'cause
is
I had
a
a question. Why would
masculine.
I put that on the word sun, like or day or wherever we were?
Mhm.
Slightly. Why would it be masculine?
Usually when we're speaking in general. Usually when you're speaking in general, or you're speaking in a masculine tense, it'll use the so-called masculine, and that's why I said.
Oh, okay.
And that's not bad. You know what I mean, you had the right answer. It's not bad your line of thinking, but the like you see on the underneath the plural on the cheat sheet, it says feminine or SERV. That's short for servile. What you think is feminine is a servile tense, right? Because you might see something that you might perceive as a feminine,
Right.
but you might see that on the end of a masculine word or what you would perceive to be masculine. So I'm gonna explain. All right. It's not like for you to understand it, a brother might say that's a feminine tense, or you know what I mean, for teaching purposes, right? So like ak yum, right? Or for ak is brothers or brother, ak wath with that wath at the end that makes it sisters or what you would perceive as feminine. But that's just a servile tense, meaning one thing is serving another. You feel me?
Okay, most likely.
So we don't like, for example, like that whole feminine tense thing comes from your oppressor, where you know what I mean they think that if you're in a position of like servitude, like for example, you think of like a what they call it in college, a fraternity, right? they treat the younger so-called brothers in a feminine way. Like they treat them like they feminine. You know what I mean? You get in the army, the military, they treat the younger, the you know what I mean, the lower ranking soldiers in a right. That's that's their culture.
Right.
In our culture, we don't have feminine or masculine. We have rank and order. So where you would see something that like in English or in Spanish, right? You would see something that's like a feminine tense. They have that in their language because they are LGBTQ. We have rank. So we don't have feminine tense. We have servile tense.
Hey, what's on your Christ?
You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. But what the priest just said was absolutely correct about the word for day. How to pluralize day. Yom would be the Yawam would be the singular day. Once you start to add things to it, most times that wa in the middle will drop off, and then you add the pluralization tense. And once you add yum to the end of it, it becomes yum yum. Right. So that's how you pluralize. So it goes from day to days, right? Until thy brothers. All right. So we got my brother, right? My brother. How do you say? Okay. So what does thy mean? Yeah, thy brother. You got to answer.
But like die,
Yeah,
I would think like there, like THEIR, no?
live.
Okay.
You got sir.
Thy is like your.
Right,
Oh.
right. It means you or your, right, or yours. So like you. The means you, right. So when you see thee, thy, thou, right, it's talking about you, right. So now thy brother. How would you translate? Because this is it's translated in 16. How they spoke English in 1611, right. So how would you translate it into modern day English? Thy brother. How would you say that in modern day English? And I'm asking that while you think it over, right? I'm asking that because this is a big part of how you understand the Bible in general. Because we read the Bible and it's written in this language, thy, thou, hitherto, there, all those different, you know what I mean, those things that we don't talk like that. So when you read the Bible, you got to kind of translate it so that you can understand it in modern English. So that's why I'm asking the question. So how do you translate thy brother in modern English? You got
It'd be your brother, right?
damn right. Get that brother a hand. Right?
Hey, you say the title still say John 3:16.
Okay. Concert. It should update. Um it should update
Change it, just didn't do it.
concert. It's
That was out of your card.
concert. But but exactly what that brother just did, you want to think like that. When you see thy, thou, thee, you want to think you, right? You know what I mean? So how would you say your brother? Now my brother was Ak, yeah, right? We just talked about that, right? So how would you say instead of my brother? How would you say your brother? You got to answer.
Bakam? Bakam? Or, because I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
KAM, right? It says you were, and if that being a possessive, it would go after, right? And then it was bond, right? Or I think it was bond as being like, damn, that son. Hold on. Oh, so I come? I don't know.
Close. I see why you said that, but you had an answer before I break it down.
It'd be Amka.
Why'd you say thought?
I was trying to jot down, and we said it.
Use the mic.
When I was jotting down notes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
I know when we said "da,"
Mm-hmm.
means your.
What tha does mean thou or thee, but it's a possessive we're using, right? So the possessive comes at the end, right? So that's what we're looking at. What comes at the end? So you want to give it another shot before I break it down? Okay, no sweat. Okay, so I see why you went to come, because we're trying to say your brother, but you gotta think about this as well. Are we talking about one or more than one? One brother, right? We talking about Jake. We talking about Jacob, and we're talking about Jacob and his brother.
Okay.
Jacob is one person.
That being said,
So
that's
com would be the plural version of your.
oh,
You got it now?
Aka?
Khan. Akka. Give her a hand.
Aka?
Akka. Or and this is something you want to make sure you I don't know if you want to highlight it, put a star or underline it. Make sure you understand this as well. That Yah, like you see on the board, it means me or my, but I got in parentheses. It can be used as a buffer between a root word and a possessive. So instead of saying akka, because it's kind of choppy to say akka, right? But for sentence flow and sentence structure, a lot of times we'll add the ya in between the possessive and the root word, right? So instead of akka, it'll be ak yaka, ak yaka, ak yakum, ak yanawa. Like when you see in the Lord's Prayer, salak yanawa, kawawat nawa, kasalak nawa, kawawat yanawa. You see that ya in between the root word and the possessive, all right? So what you said was absolutely correct, because that either one is correct, but you'll see that ya in the middle. So ak yaka, right? So ak yaka is correct. All right. So where we at? Flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran. Verse 44. And tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. All right. All right. So we're gonna get into the Lashawan Qadash. All right. We'll read what we just went over and see what we got. All right. Let me get there with you, Salakia. So make sure you got Bible Hub. Now is the time where you want to go into Bible Hub and go line upon line, right? We just gonna go phrase to phrase and break it down, just like we just worked through it just now, just like we do every week, every night. You know what I mean? We just gonna break it down piece by piece. And I promise you, once you get used to this, once you get used to seeing this and working through it like we did, and you know what I mean, like we did tonight, you know what I mean, that's gonna make it so much easier for you to read the Lashawan Kodash. Because once you understand this, once you understand what we just broke down, and the things that I mean, the things once you start to memorize certain words and things like that, and how prepositions and possessives are used, like we just went over, then it's just gonna make it so much easier once you see certain things. Right? All right, so I'm gonna read it in the Lashawan Kodash. All right. I'm gonna read it slow. All right. So y'all can what I want y'all to do, because eventually what you're gonna want to do is be able to read it yourself, right? During Sabbath service, for the brothers, or and the sisters as well. You just won't be on the podium. But you know what I mean? Eventually all the brothers will come up here and read the Hebrew. But I'm gonna read it phrase by phrase, all right? And I'm going to read it slow. All right, so Book of Genesis, chapter 27, verse 43. Wa'aitha banya, like we went over earlier, right? Shammai bakwalya, right? Wa kwawam barak laka al laban akya harana. All right. Now, going through what we just went through, you should be able to, a lot of the stuff I just said, it should sound familiar, right? Because everything y'all said as y'all was breaking it down without even looking at the Hebrew, which is excellent, everything y'all said was absolutely correct. All right, so now I'm just going to go through it. All right, so wa'aitha, right? Wa'aitha. Now, we right here, right? We right here. Wa'aitha, right? So a lot of times when you get into a verse, right, it's gonna start off with a preposition. Or 9 times out of 10, when you see a phrase, you can assume that the first character is gonna be a preposition, right? So why it's like it. Why as a preposition means what? You got it? Con. Absolutely correct. So that leaves, okay, so why is an, excellent job. So now that leaves I thought. So off the top of your head, you know what this word means. I thought. Or let me ask this. If you don't know, how do you find out? You got it? You got an answer? Or how to find out? You got Bible Hub in front of you?
Right.
All right. So how do you find out? You got an answer?
You say, and now?
How did you find that out?
Click the number.
Right. That's how you find out. Get that brother in. This is how you build your vocabulary. All right. You take what you already know. We already knew that while was a preposition meaning and. So now that just leaves I thought. Right. So to find out what the root word is, you just click the concordance code above the phrase, and it's going to separate the preposition and possessive for you and give you the root word. All right. So that's how you find out. If you don't know, and that's how you're going to build your vocabulary. All right. So aita means now, right? So next phrase, banya. All right. This should be pretty easy. We just went over it. What does banya mean? All right. Go ahead.
My son.
My son. Damn right. Get that sister hand. All right. Now for the purpose of break it down. How'd you get banya? How'd you get my son? How do you break it down? You said it earlier. We just repeating it.
Shit. Because Bond is brother, and then the possessive, which would go before.
After.
So, yeah, right?
After.
After would be, yeah, and that's how you say me or mine.
Right. I'm right. Exactly. As simple as that. You see how simple the Hebrew is? You just broke down the Hebrew. Right? Banya. That's how you say bun. That's how you say my son. Bun, like the sister said, is brother, or so like his son. And ya is a possessive, which goes at the end of the root word to mean me or my. So banya means my son. All right, simple as that. All right, next phrase. We got sha, ma, and I. Put it together, shema. All right. Now the brother just said how to find out. Right. So it's on the board. Root words are typically 2 to 3 phrase or two to three characters long. So let's find out what shema means. Right. look like you got an answer?
To hear.
To hear. All right. That's exactly what that means. To hear, or in this context, obey, right? To listen, right? To listen. You know what I mean? Shema means to listen, right? If you hear something, like if somebody says something, but you don't follow the instructions, you didn't hear. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It went in one ear and out the other. But obeying, if you heard the instruction, then you're going to follow it. Your actions are going to show whether you heard or not, right? That's why Christ said, "Hearing they hear not, seeing they see not." If brothers heard and understood what he was saying, they would follow the instructions. They would get the breakdown. All right. But Shammai is obey or hear, right? Obey in this context, but it means the same thing. All right. Shammai. So if you ever hear a brother say Shammai, it just means hear. Listen, listen, right? Shammai. It just means listen, right? So, you know what I mean? Next, you had a question?
I can't seem to find the right spot on Bible Hub, but I want to know how you spelled that word.
Shammai.
Right.
It's Shah, Ma. So the character Shah, Ma, and I. I. All right. I. Now the pronunciation. The pronunciation is Shami. Right. That's how you would pronounce it, translated from English to Lashawan Qadash. All right. But take it from the. You say you can't find it in Bible Hub. Refresh. You might want to refresh the app. Take it from the top. You went to interlinear,
Concept.
interlinear, and then you go to Genesis, the book of Genesis, and then chapter 27, and then verse 43.
27 verse. Chapter 27 verse.
Verse 43. Hey, Abadan Jah, I just need the city. The city you from, man. Just focus. Focus. Lock in with me. All right. What city you in? That's all I need.
Oh.
Trying to help you, brother. What's going on?
It's like I was being dyslexic.
No sweat.
I
It happens sometimes. You with me now? All right, no sweat. All right. Where was we at? Shema. All right. Bakwal ya. All right. Bakwal ya. Okay. Before I break this down. All right. And again, I'm just asking these questions to kind of give you the kind of thought process that you should be in when you read in the Hebrew. Is there anything in this phrase that stands out? Bakwal ya. Bakwal ya. You both look like you got you. You want to give it a shot?
I would say like a Q.
Book. Okay, I see. Salakia. Let me see. Okay, as far as the Lashawan Qadash, right? And how we will break this down. Is there anything that stands out as far as that? You want to give it a shot?
Mine?
Which is?
Salakia, son.
Wait, say that again?
Son?
No, Bakwal ya. That's the phrase we and I see why you said that.
So
Bakwal. That's the phrase we deal with. Bakwal ya. Well, let me ask it like this. Any of those 4 steps, that's where you want to start, right? Those 4 steps. Find your prepositions, possessives, root words, and tenses. Now, is there anything that stands out as regarding those 4 things? You gotta.
As far as it would be ba, which is in on. No.
Okay, I see why you went there. That's Not that's not it. Baqualia. Baqualia. You gonna give it another shot?
He is like it's a wait, hold on. It's like,
Okay, let me help you out. Ba is not what you're looking for. Baqual is your root word. Baqualia,
okay, so like then why would y'all be my preposition?
because it comes at the end.
But I thought prepositions came before.
Oh no, you're possessive. But you're not looking for. I didn't say whether you're looking for a preposition or possessive. But baqual is the root word. I gave that to you. Baqual is the root word. So now, you with me now? Baqualia.
It's like so yeah is the possess.
Come on,
Yes. Hello?
come on.
That'll be me mine.
Come. That's what it is.
Okay.
But Yah will be the possessive that comes at the end of the root word,
Right.
meaning me or mine, right?
Okay.
So knowing that, now all that's left is Baqual, right? Now we don't know what Baqual is. We know what Yub is because it comes at the end is me or mine, right? So now, you asked, you wanted to say anything, brother? Slacky. All right, no sweat. All right, so that Yah at the end is me or mine, right? So that leaves Baqual. Baqual means and I know y'all know how to find that, so I ain't gonna ask that. And brothers and sisters on the chat, you know what I mean, you're more than welcome to participate as well. You know what I mean? You remember how to find it? Go ahead.
So you click on the numbers above the.
Right.
Wait, I don't think I. It doesn't mean like to rise, do it? Or am I the wrong word?
You might be on the wrong word.
Okay.
Go a line up. You had something, brother?
Like to hear my voice.
Come. Oh, not here. Shammai is here. But Baqual is voice.
Oh.
Baqual is voice. Get that brother a hand. So Baqual Ya is my voice. All right. And then next phrase, Wakwawum is, and also, you know what I mean, what can help you out as well, you know what I mean? So we can skip a couple steps if you just want to, and this is going to be helpful for, what's it called? Sabbath service as well. If you just got to glance down at the red and kind of see the phrases, that might help you out as well. Right? And then you click on the concordance code just to get the confirmation, right? To make sure that you absolutely correct. So, wa kwawum, right? So we know wa is a preposition meaning what? And, right? So kwawum means, kwawum will be the root word meaning what?
To rise.
To rise. And rise. That's what Rebecca is telling her son, right? Obey my voice and rise. Wa kwawum. Right? Next phrase. Right? Barak. Barak. Right? And Barak. Now, again, all right, so root words are 2 to 3 characters long. So you see a string of 2 to 3 characters. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be your root word. All right? So Barak is a root word. Now, all right, we're going to get, this is probably going to be the last phrase that we deal with before we close it down. But Barak is your root word. Let's figure out what Barak means. and then I'm gonna explain something real quick. All right. So barak means what?
To go through.
To go through or.
To flee.
And then remember, because we read it in English, you're absolutely correct, to flee, right? But remember, we read it in English. So because we read it in English before, we read it in English to give you the context of what you're expecting to see, what these words are going to be used as, how they're going to be used, things like that. So remember, as you're reading these words and you're seeing the definitions and the different usages, just remember how it was used in the English translation. All right. So Rebecca is telling Jacob to flee, right? So in this context, Barak means flee. All right. Now this isn't to be confused with the word Barak. Barak. Like in the salute, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Barak Atha. Barak means to bless. Barak with a cha at the end means to flee. Barak with a ka at the end means bless. Now I'm saying that because it's important to enunciate and to pronounce these characters with intention, right? Like a lot of times because we comfortable with the language, we'll pronounce like ha, like for example, Officer 5000 Kharab, we tend to call him Officer Kharab because we comfortable with the language and we know what we mean. But his name starts with a ha. That's how you pronounce that character. Ha, 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 Kharab, right? But if you pronounce it Kharab, it means something totally different. And that's what we're looking at right now. Like, we're looking at the word Barak with a cha at the end, not a ka, a cha, right? Barak. Now, if you say Barak instead of Barak, you're saying bless instead of flee, which is what the word is here, right? Now, this is, you know what I mean? Again, when we use it with one another, when we speak to one another, say certain things with one another, we know what each other mean, right? Which is what the intention of a language is in the first place, to be understood. So you say, Officer Karab told me to do this. We know what you're talking about. But you know what I mean, as you start to develop and build your vocabulary, as you start to see how the language is used, you want to be very intentional with how you pronounce characters, because things like that, little things like what we just saw right here, it could lead to gross misunderstandings. Like for the word, for example, the word you mind handing me that board right there, the marker? All right. The water. Appreciate it. The water just means thank you if you didn't know. All right, so I'm gonna show you this. So we got these two words here. So these are two separate words. You got Morocco, and then you got Morocco, right? This word up top, I believe means sharp, right? Like, you know what I mean? You want to say a brother looking sharp, right? Or that brother's sharp, like he quick with it. You know what I mean? He's sharp. That's a sharp brother. That's what that word at the top means. It means sharp, right? This word at the bottom means soft. So you could have good intentions, But if you mispronounce, or if you're not pronouncing these characters like you're supposed to, then it could lead to a gross misunderstanding. Like if I say, "Hey, that brother right there, Morocco. I'm trying to give you a compliment. That brother sharp. You know what I mean? He diligent. You know what I mean? He quick with it. But if I say Morocco with a ka at the end, you know what I mean? If you're fluent in the Hebrew, you're gonna hear Morocco and you're gonna think I'm calling you soft. So that's why it's important to be intentional with how you pronounce these characters. And you know what I mean? If there's a ha, pronounce it as a ha. You know what I mean? Put that, you know what I mean? Put that sound in it. Harab. You know what I mean? Call chaza. You know what I mean? Things like that. And if you mean ka, just ka. If you mean qua, say qua. Right? But that's just an example of, I mean, you might see it doesn't happen often, but you know what I mean, just to avoid offenses, just to avoid misunderstandings, just keep that in mind. And you know what I mean, that's something that comes with understanding the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. Like you want to go through each, like for example, one thing that I recommend for brothers to do is to first memorize the Lashawan Qadash alphabet from A to Tha, like I did in the beginning of the class. You want to say it to yourself: Abba Gada Hawaza Chata Yaka Lamanasa I Pataza Kwa Ra Cha and Tha. Might however you gotta, you know what I mean, whatever you need to help you out with that, you know what I mean, get the help. But the first thing you want to do is memorize the Lashawan Kodash alphabet, and then after that, practice pronouncing each character, and make sure you pronounce it, or any character that might sound the same or similar. Uh, Hone in on things like that. Any character that might look similar, hone in on things like that so that you can understand those differences, because those are going to be the things that trip you up. All right. We might go into a little bit more detail next week on those little differences, but we just saw how important they are. But we might go into it a little bit more next week. We're gonna end it right there. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the class, man. Especially if you you know what I mean, you in class or you watching online and you done found the truth, you know what I mean? You learning about your culture and identity according to the Bible. If you know what I mean, if you learning and you're becoming a better man, a better woman, a better person, better sister or brother, because you done found the truth and you learning more about who you are as a person, as a culture, as a people. You know what I mean? Share the class. You know what I mean? Share it, send it to somebody you know what I mean? Share it to your pages so other brothers and sisters can get the same thing that you got. You know what I mean? But I don't see any questions or comments. Okay, the brother said he in DC. Oh yeah, I had a feeling I already dealt with you, brother. You already know who to talk to in DC, like Captain Mashak. You know what I mean? Captain Mashak and them brothers out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead and go ahead and get tapped in with them brothers. Right.
Don't.
Or don't. But you know what I mean? You're not gonna know, you know what I mean? I see you call yourself, you say the truth. Every time you clock in, you log into the class, you say that you the truth, or you showing up is the truth. You won't know, you don't know nothing unless you ask the prophets. You know what I mean? Unless you deal with the prophets and deal with the men in your zone. Ask them your questions.
Right.
You know what I mean? Get real answers. See them face to face so we know who the hell we dealing with, man. We don't deal. You ain't no truth. You know what I mean? Christ wasn't no keyboard warrior. I mean, He was out in these streets. Commanding General Yohana ain't no keyboard warrior. You know what I mean? So if you want to, you know what I mean, you feel like you the truth, you know what I mean, then brothers need to see your face so that can be examined.
Right.
But with that, we'll say Imadium, which means to stand. Give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Nivizra Major Shabbat. Imadium, Barak. Yahweh Shimi Al-Shah Barakatah. Yadi Matah. Sorry, we're going to turn and face the sisters. Give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Individual Major Shabbat. Imadium, Barak. Yahweh Shemar Latam Ba Shimi Al-Shah. Yadi Matah. Dismiss.